Get ready for the biggest wave of the game. It's NoahMania, and the world will never be the same. Wrestling news, drama, it's all here. Tune in now, cause Noah's bringing the crew. From the ring to the screen, he's got the scoop. Breaking down WWE RAW, the crew. SmackDown, AEW, the top spots to be. NoahMania is the name, and the future you'll see. Hollywood buzz and the drama that's real. Noah's on fire and you'll feel the appeal. From the ring to the screen, he's got the scoop. Breaking down WWE RAW, the crew. SmackDown, AEW, the top spots to be. NoahMania is the name, and the future you'll see. Hollywood buzz and the drama that's real. Noah's on fire and you'll feel the appeal. Podcast, YouTube, where the stories unfold. He's got the content and it's pure gold. From the square circle to the red carpet bright, NoahMania's rising and he's taking flight. A sexy encyclopedia, he's the king of internet media. NoahMania's on the rise, watch him take control. The biggest name on YouTube.
What's up, guys?
Wrestling drama, all the world's trends. Tune in now, cause the fun never ends. NoahMania's got the vision, the heat, the fire, climbing higher.
It's Tuesday.
He's your empire, the biggest YouTuber, watch him ignite. It's NoahMania.
I just can't stop headbanging.
He's dropping the truth, no holding back. Every wrestling move and every hot track. From the backstage.
Okay. Let's turn that down just a little bit. Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday, December 3rd. YouTube.com/NoahMania. I gotta say, I had a really fun time this past Friday when we were live. All right. Let's get rid of the theme song there. I had a blast on Friday reuniting with Mike and Eric. I mean, here and there we've done stuff just on the side, just one off, me and Mike or me or Eric. But it was truly the first time the trifecta has been together in over 5 years. So real happy, real proud, and I'm just happy to be back on YouTube. I'm happy I got a great wife, Mary, who supports me doing this crazy shit. She got me set up with all the right gear I needed. Shane just thinks it's stupid. He just points and laughs at it. But I'm having a blast. It's something that I talked about doing for several years, and I always had a tremendous excuse why I couldn't do it. And my audience is gone for the most part. I'm starting from scratch, but God damn it, gonna give it the go. Give it the old college try. All right, got a lot to talk about. Gonna talk about, I know it's a couple of days late, we're gonna talk about Survivor Series War Games, which was this past Saturday on the Peacock. Then we had Monday Night Raw, which was last night, the 10th anniversary of the New Day. So we're going to talk about that. Got some news, and I'm going to have to beg your pardon for a few minutes, if you know what I mean. Got to talk about that just because that's just such a huge current event, and it's a piece of history in this country. I gotta touch on it, you know. Have no choice. No choice in the matter. All right, I'm still wearing the sweater. This was given to me by the in-laws. This NFC Championship, very comfortable and expensive Nike hoodie here. I'm still rocking it in spite of the absolute ass kicking that the Bills gave the 49ers. I don't know who kicked the 49ers' ass worse, the Bills or the snowstorm, the lake effect snow. Literally no part, if you go and look at the weather forecast, no part of the Buffalo area had any snow. And it was all cleared up until game time. And then just the lake effect snow hit the stadium and the stadium only. And of course, I mean, where's a shark most able to do combat? In the ocean. This blizzard in the middle of the stadium in Buffalo was the Bills were the sharks and the 49ers were in their ocean. Got him good. It doesn't It doesn't help that the quarterback of the Bills is a freaking beast. Josh Allen. He's a badass motherfucker. That's the only way you can describe the guy. The 49ers opened up the game strong, and they were just, the Bills couldn't stop the run at first, and then everything fell apart. Christian McCaffrey is now done for the season. I think it was a PCL injury. I don't have any notes open. I'm literally winging this shit right now. And to make matters worse, his backup, forget the dude's name, I think he's injured too. I think he was put on IR. The 49ers are not playing like the 49ers anymore. They're not playing like a playoff team, much less a Super Bowl contender. Their season is done. I would say bench all the starters and put in the backups, but that might be against the law because you can't tank a season on purpose. But holy fuck. It's bad. But, you know, it could. I think I'm handling it pretty well. I have friends that are diehard Cowboy fans, and even they were like, I'm switching teams. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not a fair weather fan. I'm still going to be a diehard Niner fan, so I'm not going to switch teams. But I'll tell you what I am going to start rooting for. Rather than rooting for another team, I'm just going to root for the Kansas City Chiefs to lose. And wouldn't it be something? It would be justice for me if the Bills took it to the house and Josh Allen made Taylor Swift cry in an AFC Championship game. I would be all for that. I'd be cool with that. Yeah, it's a bad year. Shanahan's job is safe. I think they need to re-examine quite a bit, though. And are they going to pay Brock Purdy a bunch of money? His contract is up. His rookie deal is up. Are they going to pay him a bunch of money to make him happy? Or are they going to franchise tag him and go out and sign some players? I don't know. I do not know. But it was a bummer. It was a bummer. Bills looked awesome, though. All right, let's talk about Survivor Series War Games. This past Saturday on Peacock, I really liked the show. It was solid from top to bottom. Let's run through it. I'll give my thoughts on it. So show open, and by the way, the card was structured perfectly. It was spot on how I would have structured a card. You opened up with the women's War Games match. Then you had your U.S. Championship match. Then you had the IC title match. Then from there, the World Heavyweight Championship match. And then the men's War Games match is your main event. That's wrestling booking 101, how that card was structured from bottom to top to bottom. Quite happy with it. All right, so show opened up women's War Games match. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley came out on top. Mommy came out on top and defeated the Judgment Day, made up of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae by pinfall. So I was hoping for Tiffany Stratton to cash in or get caught cashing in. And Mike told me I was wrong and that wasn't going to happen. And damn it, he was right. But that I would have liked. But these ladies beat the crap out of each other. The match looked good. Happy with how it turned out. Oh, by the way, I joked about Rhea Ripley's Batman mask the past couple of shows, and I made a very off-color remark regarding adding your boyfriend to the Batman mask. I'm not going to repeat it again. But this time, the mask was augmented a bit. So it wasn't just the nose. That was borderline beak status. But it added horns. It added horns. The jokes write themselves, but I'm going to leave that one alone tonight. Great match, though. Up next, you had the United States Championship match, and holy crap, LA Knight dropped it. Shinsuke Nakamura over LA Knight via pinfall. I really like that they're trying to do something with Shinsuke Nakamura, and here's my theory. He's fed up, and it's a theory. I think he's fed up. I think he was ready to go home to Japan at this point. But I think they just wanted to keep him happy, put the belt on him. I don't know what it's going to do for him at this point, but I really am digging the kind of the darker character, the not like almost a Jericho-esque tweener. He's not a villain, he's not a babyface, but there's like this dark, evil mystique to him, which I like. So we'll see what happens with it. I don't personally see him holding this belt past the Royal Rumble. So a couple of months tops since Rumble's February 1st. All right, up next you had the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. It was Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser challenging Braun Breaker, and Braun Breaker unfortunately retained. Was kind of expecting it, but a little bit of a disappointment. It wouldn't have done anything for Sheamus. I would have liked to have seen potentially Ludwig getting a crack at it. I think he needs it. Create some tension, some further tension between him and Gunther. But good match, all in all. All right, up next you had Damian Priest challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. As we all expected, Gunther retain the belt. We don't expect to see Gunther drop until WrestleMania. I think that's the absolute soonest. I think he's on top of his game. They're furthering the feud with other members of the Judgment Day. Gunther picked up the win. We'll see what happens. Going to talk a little bit more about it when we get to Raw. All right, your main event was your men's War Games match. Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk defeating the New Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed. Holy shit, did you see Bronson Reed's ankle get fucked up in that bump? He messed that ankle up. I don't feel good about him being back before. I mean, I think if it's not a horrible fracture, I think he might be able to be back by WrestleMania, but it didn't look good. Typically, that would require 6 to 10 weeks of recovery to get through that. So, great match. I was a little surprised to see the New Bloodline drop so quickly. I'm really interested to see what the favor is now that CM Punk is owed by Paul Heyman. Now, I don't think WWE has even thought of what the favor is yet, because they're pulling the whole, he's like pulling a little bit of a Don Corleone on Paul Heyman. Someday I may call upon you to do a service for me, like that sort of thing. So, it was a good show, good stuff. The bit during the main event when CM Punk tried to exit the cage and Roman Reigns stopped him. That was like the highest rated social media video clip of the year for WWE. So, great match. Look forward to see what continues what happens as a result. So also on Saturday, AEW had to quasi go head to head with WWE. That's the bad part about running one of your shows on Saturdays. So here's one of the issues. The wrestling business is prospering really, really well, as you're all aware. But the consequence of that is wrestling is literally on every single day of the week. Monday through Saturday, there is a mainstream professional wrestling show somewhere on TV. And you got to run on Saturday regularly. And now there's conflict between AEW and when WWE runs their premium live events. So AEW changed the time. They tried to run a 3-hour block of Collision and Rampage, and they started at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific for Collision, and then they had a gimmick Lucha Libre themed AEW Rampage to go on after that. Oh Lord. They got some work to do. I've made it known time and time again that they need to scale back to smaller venues. Tony needs writers to be booking this shit for him. All he's got is Dave Meltzer advising him as his advisor. What's Meltzer gonna call a 5-star match? Okay, let's put that in the ring. Not good. I was watching WWE and the show was so stacked I forgot AEW was even on. So I'm not even going to talk about the results because I don't have a logical opinion formulated to speak on that. But I will say this: I saw an interesting quote. Bischoff was on the Ariel Helwani show. And Bischoff proclaimed, "They're horrible. I've given up. I used to get really frustrated with them because I hate seeing people screw up good opportunities. I know what that feels like, and I don't want that to happen again. I know what that feels like and know how hard good opportunities come by. So when you see somebody shooting themselves in the foot day after day, week after week in every possible way, it's frustrating for me, and I would vent that frustration. Now it's just like, yeah, whatever it is, what it is. There's no hope for them. Nothing's going to turn their company around. There's no light bulb going to go off on anybody's head and realize, oh, this is actually getting people who watch TV. They have no idea about what they're doing, and they're too stubborn to learn." Absolutely right. I'm not the biggest Eric Bischoff fan in the world, but he nailed it. He nailed it. Problem is money which has given Tony Khan the opportunity to hire some great people, has fooled him into thinking that equates to being a good booker. And yet Tony Khan is really the Jerry Jones of professional wrestling. Has this great asset. He has a wrestling promotion and he has a great TV rights deal. Fantastic, like the ultimate TV rights deal for such a infant company, still 5 years old, 6 years old. He is the Jerry Jones. He's an underachiever. He must control every aspect of his business. I'd rather compare him to Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones has been a failure the last couple of decades. But I don't want to compare Tony Khan to Vince McMahon because Vince McMahon was a control freak, but he was successful at it, so you can't criticize it. This reminds me of Jerry Jones. Just like Jerry Jones needs to hire a general manager and stop making personnel decisions. That's what Tony Khan needs. He should be the chairman, the big picture guy. You can be a fan and own the company, but not dictate the show. He chooses to blatantly not do that. And people have offered him advice. Jim Cornette's offered him advice even before the company launch. You know, Eric Bischoff has. But the problem is, he has the Young Bucks and all the other douchebags that are in his ear saying, yeah, that's a great idea. Because it furthers their little inner clique of douchebags. It's what it is. All right. Let's talk about Raw Monday. Let me get my notes. Raw Monday last night was freaking awesome. Show opened up. CM Punk comes out. Cuts a promo. Interrupted by Seth Rollins. They start talking crap to each other. Great promo. Let's get into the matches. So you had a tag team match. It was Kairi Sane and Io Sky of Damage Control going up against Judgment Day members, Women's World Champion Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, with the winners being the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley did a run-in at the end of the match. Starts throwing fists with Raquel Rodriguez and does a little headbutting thing again. She did it with the Batman mask with the horns on it. The jokes really make themselves. Sorry. All right, up next you had the new women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. It was a first round triple threat match. Championship that really should not exist in my opinion, but okay. You had Dakota Kai versus Shayna Baszler versus Katana Chance. And winner by pinfall, Dakota Kai. I'm not invested in a women's Intercontinental Championship match. These titles that are being introduced and created, there's so many of them, they're almost becoming participation trophies at this point. All right, up next, segment of the night. It was celebrating 10 years of the New Day, so we knew something was going to blow up tonight. No secret. We knew that it was going to happen. But what everyone was expecting was the New Day to break up. They were expecting someone to turn heel, someone to backstab the group. Was it going to be Xavier backstabbing Kofi? Kofi backstabbing Xavier? I was predicting that Kofi would be the one turning heel, but I wasn't right, but I wasn't wrong either. Kofi did turn heel. So did Xavier. They turned heel on Big E. So they did a bit. They kind of were toying with the audience. Okay, this isn't your fault, but we got something to tell you, Junior. Mommy and Daddy, we're going our separate ways. You're gonna have 2 Christmases. But before that happened, Big E's music hit. He comes down, and he's still not cleared to wrestle. By the way, announcers pointed out that it's been 4 years since he had been on Raw or SmackDown, which is funny considering he broke his neck on SmackDown 2 years ago. But I'll let that one slide. So he comes out and says, "Damn it! I'm putting my foot down. I am back to be your daddy. I'm going to manage the New Day moving forward." And when he was saying that, I just knew in my mind, that this is where they're going. And sure enough, Kofi and Xavier were like, "Where have you been this whole time? In your cozy little desk job. You're not bedridden. You could have come back." They started comparing him to Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kurt Angle. And whole time, he's really working really hard to well up his eyes with crocodile tears. He tried so hard to make himself cry. He almost got there. But it was a very entertaining segment. It ended with Big E being excommunicated from the New Day. If we need you, we'll call you, was the exact quote. And I gotta admit, I got a little emotional when the fans in the crowd stopped chanting New Day rocks and instead started chanting Big E rocks. So during the promo was proclaimed that E has not been cleared to return. I'm wondering if they are about to clear him. That's what I'm curious about. Maybe they're keeping it real quiet, and then it's gonna be a surprise. Maybe do something at the Royal Rumble. Maybe when Xavier and Kofi are in the Royal Rumble match and they're working together, you have a surprise entrant being Big E, and he comes out and eliminates both Kofi and Xavier from the match, and he's back. That'd be a real safe match for him to come back and dip his toes in the pool. Anyway, great segment. And what else? Up next, you had Gunther versus Dominic Mysterio. It was a non-title match, and basically Gunther kicked the shit out of him. I really thought that during the match, Dominic really had a good stretch of momentum and hit the frog splash. It looked really cool. It was a real fast pace and almost got the 3 count. Gunther got up, beat the shit out of him. And after that, Finn Balor makes a run in, starts beating the shit out of Gunther, gets in Dominic's face and says, "Let me show you how it's done," and does like 10 coup de grace on Gunther. Good main event. You had R-Truth over Pete Dunne. Okay. Big whoop. And then in your main event, you had Seth Rollins over Sami Zayn as a result of the little kerfuffle they had at the beginning of the show. So there you go. That was Raw for Monday night. What else is going on? All right. I think we got some news to cover, and then we will start wrapping shit up in a neat little package. So the divorce is finalized, of course, between the Bellas. So Nikki Bella spoke out for the first time, and this was on her podcast. And she made a statement, and she said that, and I guess she's been gone for a while, dealing with all these legal issues. All right, quote from the podcast: "I needed to disconnect first things first. I'm a mom, and my son's protection and privacy is the most important. I was going to do whatever it took for that. Most importantly, then needing space for healing and facing trauma. It's been tough. It's been really tough. I've been heartbroken and sad. And it really wasn't anything. It was just her saying, I've been gone dealing with crap. No real news about what happened. I think at this point, my theory was, because I was shocked that the divorce was settled so quickly. My theory is that there's some dirt, and she could have really publicly humiliated her husband. I think he's got something to hide. I could be wrong. It's just a theory and an opinion, not a fact. And he quickly settled. You know? I mean, if he had dirt on her, she's the breadwinner. I guarantee she has more money than he does. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I haven't seen any of their bank accounts. But I'm just guessing. Between the reality TV and WWE, that she's got some money, and there could have been some alimony involved. But the divorce was settled very quickly and quietly. Maybe they had a prenup. Who knows? All right. Blah, blah, blah. The Rock. WrestleMania 41. The Rock has been in the news because at the end of the Bad Blood Premium Live event, The Rock made an appearance on the stage while Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes were in the ring, and everyone thought that meant The Rock was back. But we haven't seen or heard from The Rock since. What's going on with The Rock? Is he going to be at WrestleMania? When are they going to start building it up? And Meltzer, I guess, tweeted out, I guess somebody tweeted at Meltzer, WTF was the point of The Rock's return at Bad Blood. And Meltzer responded, quote, if I told you that one, there would be a meltdown. So essentially what I'm gathering from that is they don't have a plan. I don't think they have a plan. And everything with The Rock is very last minute. The rumors have been plentiful about The Rock's not only The Rock's busy schedule, but poor scheduling, poor planning. He's always running late. He makes people wait around, even if it's at their expense, such as delaying production. Ooh, that's expensive. He actually came out and admitted to the whole disgusting pissing in jugs thing. I don't know. There's just something weird to me. The thought of saying, all right, here's my warm container of piss. Go deal with it, and making them touch it and feeling it all warm. Disgusting to me. Gross. I am grossed out with you, Dwayne Johnson. I know you're absolutely gonna lose sleep over that. So, anywho, that's pretty much all I got. The last thing that I wanted to talk about with everyone, if I may beg your pardon for a moment, the big news of the last couple of days is the pardon. Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter and absolved him of his crimes. He doesn't have to worry about going to jail for the gun charge or the tax evasion. And of course, as everyone expected, the right wingers are just losing their freaking mind. Trump is talking shit, and it's not a good look on Democrats. Democrats have even had to kind of condemn their own president for what he did. And at this point in his presidency, he's a lame duck president. Pretty much all he has left in terms of tangible power is his pardon authority. But he really, since the recent court precedents have essentially affirmed that a president is king, they not only cannot be prosecuted, but they could even pardon themselves on crimes. So is Joe Biden really doing anything that Trump hasn't already done and won't do in the future? Absolutely not. Now, let's look at it from two perspectives. This will be quick, I promise. Then I'll let everyone go. The first aspect of it is, first and foremost, Joe Biden's a father, and a father that's had a lot of tragedy in his life. He lost a daughter and a wife in a car crash, and he lost a son to cancer a few years ago. And so does he really want to lose his last son to prison when he knows that the Trump administration was going to not give him a slap on the wrist? Let's just put it that way. This was a Trump appointed judge that was involved in his cases. So he was looking at a hard time. And would Biden ever see his son again? Is this a special privilege that Joe Biden has? Yeah, but in similar cases, anyone else would get a slap on the wrist. But with Hunter Biden, it's different. If you look at it with an open mind, you know this is being treated differently than other cases. It was the judge's decision not to allow it to be treated the same, the Trump appointed judge. And these aren't opinions, these are facts, these are factual statements. So first and foremost, Joe Biden is a father. And he's not doing what any father, if any father had the power to save their child, of course they're going to exercise it. We're not talking about saving someone who went out and murdered 100 people. We're not even talking about saving somebody. We're not even talking about saving 4 people who went into Iraq and massacred a dozen civilians. Oh, by the way, Trump pardoned 4 people who did that. So, yeah, fuck it. Biden's what, 81, 82 years old? He's retiring. He's got literally nothing to lose. So why wouldn't he save his son? Even if there was consequence, why wouldn't he save his son? You can't fault the guy for that. Even if he came out and said, well, I promise I won't do it. It's his son. I can't even say I wouldn't say the same thing about Trump if he was saving his own son from a similar crime. And that brings me into another thing, the royal hypocrisy. It's a giant hypocrisy. Trump, in addition to pardoning 4 government contractors that massacred a dozen Iraqi civilians, what about Charles Kushner? Trump pardoned him. He's Jared Kushner's father. He was convicted of preparing false tax returns, retaliating against a cooperating witness, and making false statements to the Federal Election Commission back in 2005. Those are interesting, comparable to some of the crimes that Hunter Biden was getting accused of. All right, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon. He was one of 4 individuals accused of defrauding hundreds of thousands of donors in a We Build the Wall GoFundMe crowdfunding campaign. There are still state charges. And he ended up getting a 4-month prison sentence for contempt of Congress. But no, he walked. Paul Manafort. He was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison for financial witness tampering and lobbying crimes. And he got pardoned. Roger Stone. Wasn't that involving treason, involving Russian election interference? He was guilty on 7 felony counts for obstruction of a congressional investigation, making false statements to Congress, and witness tampering. But it was okay to pardon him? Michael Flynn, former national security advisor, lied to the FBI about his contacts with a Russian ambassador. Treasonous. Michael Flynn got pardoned. So, you know what? If I were Joe Biden, I'd be like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. I'm pardoning my son. Anyone would do the same thing. The criminals are taking over anyway. Who the fuck cares? They're all a bunch of criminals. Anyway, that was my rant on that. Sorry. Again, I'm going to talk about what's on my mind on this show. And if you're watching it, it's because you want to hear what I have to say. If you don't want to hear it, tune out. Big whoop. Fine with it. All right. I'm done. Do me a favor, guys. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoahMania. I'm really happy to be back. I really mean that. And no matter the size of the audience, I'm going to continue to try to do some really high quality stuff like I feel like I'm doing now from a production standpoint. Also, check out my official social media, facebook.com/Real NoahMania. Also find me on x.com/Real NoahMania. All right, I'm out. This was the Tuesday show. See ya.